Okay, we're going to start today with the Northumberland County Board of Election meeting first. So would you pledge allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I think that was my 100,000th pledge allegiance because as a school teacher we used to do that every morning. Okay, Mary Rose.
At this point, any public input on agenda items only. Hearing none, a motion is needed to approve and dispense with the reading of the minutes of the December 5th, 2017 Election Board meeting.
Do I have a motion?
Make the motion.
Second? On the question, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Go ahead.
Motion is needed to ratify the following reports. Certification of county maintenance of effort for the reporting period of January 1st, 2017 through December 31st, 2017, and certification of political parties for Northumberland County.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second? I'll make the second.
No, she made it. Yeah, she said, you said at the same time.
I'm just going to apologize. I woke up this morning with no voice, so I have some voice now. Sorry, Sam.
I apologize for not doing it. Okay. All right. On the question. Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Calling for any old business at this time? New business. Any public input?
Alicia, do you have anything? Okay, thank you. Okay, then turn it over to Rick.
All right. We will call to order the regular meeting of the commissioners.
Calling for any citizen input for the agenda items only?
Seeing none, we have a presentation of the Cedacog Natural Gas Cooperative. And we have Commissioner Pete Smeltz from Clinton County and Don Keel, who are here to talk a little bit about that.
Yes, good afternoon. Allowing us to do this. Is a gas producing of the and health to natural gas cooperative, which natural gas people who Perry County, our cooperative, things here about. I do a hand so that you got it. Natural gas. I'm going to talk about how that's done and what we've accomplished thus far, and we thank you for the time you're giving us this afternoon. Don?
Thank you. And just for the audience's information, we had some conversations, I guess it was back probably last summer, I think, was when you initially come to meet with some of us in a work session. We've also had some conversations that Kathy Jeremiah has put together with Geisinger about having them help with some of the participation as well, because they can be a beneficiary of getting some of these gas lines put in, and they recognize that. And I think later on our agenda, we do have a proposal to send a letter requesting support from them on an ongoing basis as well, in terms of our contribution to the cooperative. So, but, thank you.
Motions need to approve and dispense with the reading of the Commissioners' public meeting minutes of Tuesday, January 2nd, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made second on the question. All in favor state aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motions need to pay all county and liquid fuels payrolls as submitted by the Human Resource Office for payroll number 1 in the amount of $716,456.75, and payroll number 2 in the amount of $684,664.56.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made second on the question. All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motions need to pay all county and liquid fuel bills as submitted by the county controller in the amount of $5,804,626.03 from December 30th, 2017 to February 2nd, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made second on the question. All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Announcements. A work session will be held on Tuesday, February 20th, 2018, beginning at 10 a.m. in the Commissioners' Conference Room. The next regular public meeting will be held on Tuesday, March 6, 2018, at 1 p.m. at the Administration Center, 399 Stadium Drive, Sunbury, Pennsylvania. The Northumberland County Courthouse, Administration Center, and related county facilities will be closed on Monday, February 19, 2018, in observance of the President's Day holiday. Correspondence. A seat of Council of Governments financial statements for the year ended June 30, 2017. A motion is needed for the Commissioners to sign the state tax equalization voucher for transfers of real estate for the months of November and December 2017 and January 2018 as submitted by the Assessment Office.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made second on the question. All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
A motion is needed to approve the employee status sheet list of new hires, individuals no longer employed, promotions, demotions, and transfers as items number 1 through 24.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made second on the question. All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motions need to ratify a letter of request from Northumberland County to Geisinger Health System for financial assistance to join the Cedacog Natural Gas Cooperative, which will help businesses and citizens along the Route 147 in Ralphville Township.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made second on the question. All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motions need to approve the following reports as listed on your public meeting agenda.
Is there a motion
So moved.
Second.
on the question? All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motions need to reappoint Mr. Harry Reid Sr. to the Authority, Northumberland County, Pennsylvania, for a 5-year term ending December 31st, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second on the question. All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motions need to appoint Mr. Joe Claybon to the Housing Authority of Northumberland County for a 5-year term ending December 31st, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second on the question. All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motions need to authorize a payment of $250 to the City of Sunbury for rental property registrations.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motions need to ratify the approval of the Central Services Cost Allocation Plan for Northumberland County for fiscal year that ended December 31st, 2016, as submitted by the Controller's Office.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motions need to authorize a letter of support from the Northumberland County Commissioners to the Department of Military and Veteran Affairs on behalf of Rapid Transit for an application to expand the capacity of the Veterans Transportation Program.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
A motion is need to ratify a letter to Oasis Management Systems Incorporated on behalf of the Northumberland County Prison, giving a 30-day notice of termination of inmate commissary services.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motions need authorizing permission to advertise for requests for proposals for a consultant to perform necessary design for repair and/or replacement of Northumberland County bridges.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motions need to approve the collective bargaining agreement between the County of Northumberland and the SEIU PSSU Local 668 for the period of July 1, 2018 through December 31st, 2020, as submitted by the Human Resource Department.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motions need to appoint Mr. Edwin Griffith Sr. to the Northumberland County Land Bank Authority for a 5-year term ending December 31st, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motions need authorizing a letter of support from Northumberland County Commissioners to the Housing Authority of Northumberland County for the Mount Carmel Borough Senior Veterans Preferred Housing Project.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motions need to authorize a letter of commitment from the Northumberland County Commissioners to the Housing Authority of Northumberland County for federal fiscal year 2017 Community Development Block Grant funding contingent upon successful review by all other reviewing entities for the Mount Carmel Borough Senior Veterans Preferred Housing Project.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motions need to execute a contract with Red Rock Lumber for timber harvest at Moser Sports Complex upon the recommendation of our forestry consultant, Court Forestry.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motions need to approve the following honorary letter: wedding anniversary of Mr. and Mrs. Richard Plotz, Watsontown, 60th wedding anniversary.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motions need to authorize travel requests and attendance at the following workshops, seminars, as in accordance with the county's personnel manual travel reimbursement policy, as listed on your public meeting agenda.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Guess we'll move on to the solicitor's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Motion to adopt Resolution R01-18, Resolution for Luzerne County Flood Protection Authority, designating Charles Hopta Jr. as the agent to serve on the Mitigation Committee for a term beginning January 1st, 2018 and ending December 31st, 2018.
Motion.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adopt Resolution R02-18, Intern Site Agreement between the County of Northumberland Commissioners and Pittsburgh Technical College for Brianna Gurton to complete an unpaid internship with the Department of Public Safety. This is a ratification.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adopt Resolution R03-18, Professional Services Agreement between the Northumberland County Commissioners and Suncom Industries for cleaning and janitorial services at the Human Services Complex, Buildings A, B, and C. This is a ratification.
So moved.
Second.
The question? All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adopt Resolution R04-18, Cooperative Agreement between the Commissioners of Northumberland County and Mount Carmel Borough, Ralpho Township, Milton Borough, and Lower Mahanoy Township Authority for federal fiscal year 2016 Community Development Block Grant Funds.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adopt Resolution R05-18, resolution designating the chairman as the authorized signer of Amendment Number 3 to the participation agreement with Cedacog Natural Gas Cooperative.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adopt Resolution R06-18, sales agreement between the County of Northumberland Board of Commissioners and Lightspeed Technologies for network and setup services at the new prison located at the Northumberland County South Campus.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adopt Resolution R07-18, cooperative agreement between the Northumberland County Commissioners and Milton Borough for federal fiscal year 2015 Community Development Block Grant Funds.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adopt Resolution R08-18, amendment to the Master Service Agreement between the Northumberland County Board of Commissioners and Graphite Grant Works for grant writing support to secure funding for Northumberland County.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adopt Resolution R09-18, resolution of the Northumberland County Board of Commissioners authorizing the Treasurer's Office to serve as the acting tax collector for local municipalities who enact properly executed resolutions requesting the Treasurer to serve as the acting tax collector.
So moved.
Second.
On the question?
I think this should be cleaned up a little bit. I think right now, aren't we just doing Marion Heights? Is that?
Specified Marion Heights.
Okay. And is there a term that we're committing you to?
It should be every year, you know.
A year?
The bond is for that, I have to get bonded for 4 years, okay? Secretary didn't want.
In other words, we're not soliciting any municipality.
No,
Right.
they have fiduciary responsibility to get their own tax collector, you know, but if it doesn't happen.
This is basically just authorizing you to do. It's not, you're not
We've been
required
doing it
to.
for the last
It's, yeah.
two
And you're,
years, so.
yeah.
we just-
I mean, obviously, we want to get our tax collected too, so we have an vested interest in it. But obviously, we want our tax collected one way or the other, so we have a vested interest in making sure that happens if they aren't able to do it. So, yeah. Okay. All in favor, state aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adopt Resolution R10-18, purchase of services agreement between the Northumberland County Commissioners on behalf of the Tax Claim Bureau and Jan Nestico for providing services in the Tax Claim Bureau.
So moved.
Second. On the question?
First, I want to say that I worked with Jan Nestico years ago. She was brought over from probation, and she became the head of tax claims and did a fantastic job. That office was a disaster, and she and I worked together, and mostly she pulled that office out of such disarray. I think we hadn't had tax upset sales in 10 years, and she really did an excellent job. My exception with this resolution is that her contract is for $35 an hour in that office. And about 2 meetings ago, I spoke up on behalf of an employee that was terminated, and the reason for her, in the same office, and she was the assistant. And the reason for her termination that was given was that they were eliminating her role, her position. And my comment at the time was that, one, she was asked to leave within 2 weeks. She left, and that meeting, we had salary board, and not only was she told she was leaving because they were eliminating her position, and they hadn't done it at salary board prior to that, we hadn't voted on it, nor did I know about it, but that particular meeting, there was the opportunity for that position to be eliminated on salary board, and it was not listed. So now we have somebody being paid privately through a contract, making $35 an hour to do some, if not all, of the work in that office. It isn't Jan, it isn't Ms. Nestico that I take exception to, but my vote has got to be no on this because, one, we have a union up there, and she will be doing union work, and that creates a problem. Two, when the board would do something like this, it creates a morale problem because you'll have employees that have worked here over 20 years that do not make $35 an hour. Our administrative assistant that hands down runs this county doesn't make $35 an hour, and she works full-time. So I just wanted to be clear why I'm opposed to this resolution and to be clear that it isn't Ms. Nestico. I think the world of her and her professional capabilities, but I'll be voting no for those reasons.
I'd like to just also say, I don't know if
I
Brenda
don't
wants
know,
to talk.
Brenda,
but
if you'd like to speak a
this
little
is-
bit to the need for the...
I think Jen is going to take the place of two employees. We have lost another employee, so she'll be working on both sides. And it's only for a short time because of the period when we have an overload and Janelle needs help. But it is two positions that are right now up there that we're looking to, how we're going to approach those positions. I don't know if Ms. Shaw would like to elaborate on that.
Had a couple of conversations in work sessions, both with Brenda and Janelle about this. Maybe you can fill us in a little bit for the audience on exactly the nature of this.
Well, and first off, the fact that this is a procedure. And the fact, more time, analyze the position.
There are two positions now up there, right?
We have two of them, that's correct.
Right.
We need some immediate help, and this was
Question?
Thank you, Brenda.
One comment I just want to make that, yes, we have done this in other offices. I voted no on those as well. And those temporary positions become permanent really fast. I'll give you an example. We renewed one in the prothonotary's office that was supposed to be temporary, and the person stayed on and got a renewal of a contract. This happens over and over again. And what really smacks in the face of the legitimacy of this is that knowing you have a need, we lay people off, and then we hire friends of ours for not yours, $35 an hour, okay? And I take exception to that because all of these employees work so hard, and they have given decades of service and don't make that.
I don't understand what you meant by friends of ours. This is a person we don't have to train that can work immediately and know what she's doing.
Could the person in the job?
this time of year, during the end of. It's meant to be.
Question?
Just- The agreement actually does have a cap in terms of the, yeah.
364 days.
Think, no, she would be called in as needed, but it's a one-year agreement, but it also caps the dollar amount, wasn't it? For some reason, I'm thinking it was like something, it wasn't a certain number of hours or something like that per, yeah. And it was basically to get them through their busy time of the year because they had somebody who had just left the office.
Somebody didn't leave the office. You eliminated their position, although you didn't actually eliminate
Someone else
it.
also left the office.
someone also left.
It's been discussed in multiple meetings that we've had in terms of work sessions, so. All right, thank you. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? One opposed, motion carries.
Motion to adopt Resolution R 11-18, project agreement between the County of Northumberland and Lightspeed Technology for completion of the phone system project for all county buildings as submitted by the Department of Information Services.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all in favor, state aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adopt Resolution R 12-18, Commissioners' budget amendments as listed.
Motion?
So moved.
I'll second. On the question, all in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any,
Abstain.
and one abstention.
Motion to adopt Resolution R 13-18, agreements, amendments, revisions, grants, leases, and reports between the Northumberland County Board of Commissioners on behalf of the Human, Senior, and Social Services and the named service providers as listed, numbers 1 through 15. The above agreements, amendments, revisions, grants, leases, and reports are not with county employees, nor does their organizational contract list county employees on their, as principals in their corporation or on their board of directors.
So moved.
I would like to opt out of 8 and 9, please, Frank.
So, going back. Motion to adopt Resolution R 13-18, agreements, amendments, revisions, grants, leases, and reports between Northumberland County Commissioners on behalf of the Human, Senior, and Social Services and the named service providers as listed, numbers 1 through 15, excluding numbers 8 and 9.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adopt Resolution R 14-18, agreements, amendments, revisions, grants, leases, and reports between the Northumberland County Commissioners on behalf of the Human, Senior, and Social Services and the named service providers as listed, numbers 8 and 9.
So moved.
Second, on the question, all in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Abstain.
One abstention. Motion carries. Okay, is there any old business to come before the board? Okay, seeing none, is there any new business?
I have a piece of new business. I've been contacted by a few members of Sunbury, the City of Sunbury Council, about an issue that I want to bring before the board. Just for the audience and the press, there is codified law that requires the county to contribute for the expenses and salary-related costs to the city's treasurer. And the reason that it is so is because they do a lot of work generating the county's taxes. And every year this gets paid, and I've been working for the county for a long time. Every year this gets paid as a matter of custom. The law generally requires that there's 3 members, one from the school district, one from the city, one from the county, and those 3 members make up a board, if you will, an informal board that would meet to entertain costs that are reasonably associated with running the city's treasurer's office. And again, this is for third-class cities, so the same would be applicable to Shamokin. Generally, the boards don't meet unless there's changes. In other words, they meet 2 out of 3 decide what costs are reasonable, and the statute gives some examples. They talk about salary, pension, retirement, stationery supplies, printing, notices, postage, telephone and office equipment, and, quote, anything incidental, expense-wise necessarily incurred in the conduct of that office. So basically, and my understanding comes through talking to city council members, is they haven't had an issue since 1989. In 1989, the issue then was, do we contribute 1/3 towards a retirement, a pension for people in the treasurer's office? And the city stood ready to sue. I think there was a vote and an agreement. It was a verbal agreement or an informal vote of the 3 board party members that we would pay that, our 1/3 share. So we've been doing so since 1989. So I have in front of me an invoice here. It's dated February 2nd, 2018. It is from Kevin Troop, who is the City of Sunbury's treasurer. And it says, please accept this as an invoice for Northumberland County's share of the City of Sunbury's treasurer's office expenses for the year 2017. And it has such categories as communications, health insurance, which goes up, office supplies, office equipment, postage, the postage machine lease and supplies, retirement, life insurance, and then, the total is $25,110.89. Likewise, Shikellamy School District would receive a similar invoice, not saying it's in the same amount, but they would receive the same as they do every year. I want to point out that the cost is not significantly different than it was last year, the year before that, and the year before that. It is my understanding that the chairman has been asked to put a motion in front of this board to vote on approving payment of this, our 1/3 share, and through some miscommunication, I guess that didn't happen. I did speak to Ms. Brenda Shaw yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, about what our objection might be to paying something like that. And I wasn't really given an answer other than we broke it down into 2, and I took the liberty of summarizing and asking if my summary was correct. And basically, there's exception being taken with at least 2 specific categories, one being dues, like association dues, and education. And then there was a more broad exception being taken to that they didn't turn over original receipts for any of these things that they're charging us for the way they do every year. And in speaking to Mr. Troop, the treasurer, it's a custom for him to hand journal his receipts. The postage is a machine, so it generates its own. The salaries are publicly known. And so he turns over sort of a ledger of these receipts, not original receipts. To ask him to do so or withhold payment unless he does so, first, I think is disrespectful to the treasurer. And second, I think it's disrespectful to the city because we're not talking about anything wildly out of the norm. I took the liberty of reading the statute that allows for these costs to be paid. I'm just going to cite it for the press. It's 72 PS section 5511.33. It's entitled Compensation and Expenses of Third-Class Cities Tax Collector Shared. So I think it's very problematic. It is not the county's position to audit the city and review their bills. And I want to apologize for any disrespect that went towards the city. They did feel slighted that they were questioned for these things. And I'd like to have a motion on the floor, which I am sure will fail, to pay this invoice as our 1/3 share according to law in the amount of $25,110.89 payable to the city of Sunbury.
First of all, I was not asked to put a motion on this meeting. This issue arose when our head of tax assessment and tax claims was appropriately looking at the amounts that were being requested for reimbursement. And no one is disputing the fact that the regulations do require that we pay a share of some of the expenses of the treasurer's office as they relate to the tax collection aspect of what they do. We have had some conversations. I know that Brenda had requested some information. It certainly goes far beyond just asking for original receipts and things like that. It gets to the breakdown of what we are paying for in terms of some of the particular items and whether or not we're required to reimburse for those, but also the proportion of the treasurer's expenses that we are required to reimburse due to the fact that they also provide, obviously, treasury services for the city of Sunbury, and that's their responsibility to pay for a proportion of things. I've had two conversations with one with a board member, one with the treasurer of the city of Sunbury about this. Frankly, was very disappointed that the only response that we seemed to get back, and I had to finally just say, listen, you need to stop telling me that it's been done this way for 40 years, because if we find out that for whatever reason, due to oversight or anything else, we are paying out more from the county than what we should be, and I'm asked by a reporter or someone why we are continuing to do this, I am not going to respond that, well, it was okay because we've always done it this way for 40 years. It is not inappropriate to look into this to make sure that we are accounting for the amounts that we're paying out, and the conversations tended to, on their end, get very belligerent that we were even looking into this. And I will say that on the last conversation I had with one of the officials, if we want to talk about disrespect, there was, when they couldn't logically explain some of the expenses and why we were continuing to pay those, a term was used regarding, frankly, our employee, Ms. Shaw, which was both offensive and sexist. The conversation immediately took a different tone at that point because I wasn't going to tolerate it. I let them know that it was offensive, that there was no place for that, and it was frankly surprised because the person who stated is someone who in the past I've been supportive of. We will continue to make sure that when we are paying expenses for this or anything else, that we are accounting appropriately for our expenses as a county. I would think that given some of the recent headlines in the newspaper, the city of Sunbury may want to actually adopt something a little more like that in terms of our level of scrutiny of expenses. So I'm not going to apologize for that. I don't think our employee needs to apologize for that to the extent that they are offended because we are asking them to sit down and everybody explain why we're paying the expenses we're paying. I do not understand that. So, no, I will not be making a motion to that effect. And if there is anyone else who wants to second that motion, they're free to do it.
I just would like to also talk. I also talked to a councilman from the city, and I thought I was under the impression that we were going to meet and try to work this thing out. I hope we still are. I don't know if the $25,000 is legitimate or not. It doesn't include salary because we pay salary out of a different way. This is just their incidentals. And one of the things that was a red flag for me was that what their cost was, and when we looked at the other third-class city, which was Shamokin, their costs were $900. So when I heard 25,000 something and 900, my thing was, let's sit and work it out. I'm not saying 25,000 is not right. I don't know that. I don't know enough about what we should be paying, if it's right or not. I think we sit down with the city like I requested. They did call me back and say they needed more time. I would like to sit down with them and see, and maybe if it is legitimate, maybe we actually owe Shamokin more money and pay out also. But we need to sit down and figure that out.
And at the end of the conversation, even though it got heated after that offensive remark, we ended the conversation that we would be sitting down to talk about this and that we would pull the information together. And the person I was speaking to then acknowledged, kind of backed off and acknowledged that, no, it is a good thing that we're looking at this and that it needs to be done. So it's disappointing to see that instead of honoring that, instead they have attempted to go around and I guess backdoor this and try to make an issue of it at a public meeting. All we are asking for is that we are having an appropriate accounting of the costs, so we know that we are paying out what we should be, and that we're not subsidizing portions of benefits and costs that are related to the treasury function somewhere, because frankly, we don't subsidize any other municipality in this county. And, we have, there's been some comments from some of Mr. Clause's followers in their letters to the editor over the week about, people not favoring, I guess, one township and should be looking out for them. Well, we're here to look out for the whole county. And this is an example of the fact that, I'm from Sunbury, okay? But if we are doing something, whether it's inadvertent or not, where we are unduly benefiting them, and we're not doing that for other people, that is unfair. And whether it's my hometown, or whether it's Cole Township, Mr. Chicatano's hometown, or some other municipality in this county, what's fair is fair. And what we should be doing, what we should be reimbursing is what the law says we should, and the other amounts are the responsibility of each of the other communities. Once you start doing things like this where you're cutting favors or you're directing monies to other things, then the decisions that get made in this room start to get tainted by that. It's and people start doing things that aren't done for the right reasons or the reasons that benefit the county as a whole. They start getting done because somebody owes somebody else a favor. Well, I don't deal in favors and favoritism between municipalities. I don't deal in that between elected officials. My experience with Mr. Chicatano is that he does not as well. So all I can say is that if someone was looking for that, then they certainly reached out to the right commissioner in this case. So
I have to comment about that. For someone to speak saying that you took exception when someone was rude or disrespectful to another employee, you just had at least 2 comments that were extremely disrespectful and rude to me. For city council to approach me is not a backdoor effort. I am also a commissioner, something that you still do not respect. You treat me as if I'm an employee. So I just want to say that.
If it would, you'd be fired because you don't show up most of the time. But go ahead.
The second thing that I want to say is one of the exceptions that they have to not meeting and sitting down is the law actually provides for the vehicle when there's a dispute. It isn't for us to lawyer up against another municipality. It says the majority of the fractional municipal votes shall govern. And the municipal board votes are made up of 3. A representative from the school district, it's usually the business manager, a representative from this board, and a representative of the county. It is only those 3 people that review anything, and they make a decision. The majority wins in that. And this isn't about giving the city of Sunbury a favor. And by the way, I do think Shamokin might be underpaid, although their staff is a fraction of Sunbury's. They have a full-time treasurer and they have a part-time assistant. And this isn't about favoring Sunbury over other municipalities. This law only applies to third-class cities. Third-class cities, of which we have Two, perhaps we should read the law. The law is very, very clear. Anything that relates to running that office, and it actually specifies salary, pension, retirement, all of the things that are itemized on this bill.
Salary is already paid, am I correct? Monthly, or don't we pay?
Well, this bill that I have that I'm trying to put the motion on doesn't have salary, so you could take a look at it. It's all the other things that are actually in black and white listed. In this case, the school district also does not have a problem with this. But because there's an issue, the thing to do here is also dictated by the same law. It's to choose our 3 representatives and the majority rules. It's not to drag all of this out. And you know what bothers me about this is, I said to Ms. Shaw, I said, here's what I don't understand. If there is something that seems out of sorts, more than what we would have paid since 1989 or something like that that stands out, why not pay what we know we owe them and then come down to some understanding of what we're really in dispute about so that we can have an intelligent conversation? And then just, if you can't just, the law is literally, it's not legalese. It is very easy to read. It specifies everything we must pay our 1/3 share. Our 1/3, the school district's 1/3. It's that simple. If there's disagreement, our representatives vote. The majority rules. So the idea that we don't assemble that board like they did in 1989 when there was an issue with the retirement, the idea that we just say, we're not going to pay you. I mean, it's the same thing as what they did to Cole Township with the permit fees. I know there's a construction permit fee. We take objection with the amount, but we're just going to go ahead and start building anyway. I mean, I'm just talking about a little bit of mutual respect for other elected officials in our home that we govern. And for them to come to me, they're not asking me for any favoritism. What they're asking is for us to follow the law and pay them what they have coming to them according to this very easily read statute. And so if they come to me, it means they couldn't get through to you, okay? And that really does say something. And
Well,
not only that, one more comment I have to make. The fact that there was a decision not to pay this should have been here. This is where we decide that we receive an invoice from the city of Sunbury and we're going to direct Ms. Shaw to look into it further, and we're going to hold off paying. We do it at a public meeting. We don't just backhand another municipal neighbor and put our employee on some sort of, fact finding or, forensic analysis of their bills. That's not what this is about. And the idea of saying that it is really making a mountain out of a molehill. Here's the invoice. Whatever you have a problem with, assemble the board and vote. And that's all. I'm just speaking for the people that couldn't get through. It's not favoritism. I'm sure I wouldn't be on that board. So you could put any of us that you want. But that's what the law requires.
Okay.
When I was approached, go ahead, Chris.
I just want to mention, Ms. Shaw did call me about this a few weeks ago. I had suggested, just no different than any other invoice that comes through the controller's office, that we get sufficient documentation. Also something that our auditors look at. This. Last that I got, we were going to be some type of meeting. Whether I was going to be invited to it or not, I don't know. But I did get some type of email. But that's, Ms. Shaw, contacted me to see, don't we, should we get some type of documentation just supporting what their numbers. We do pay them every year, the same as we pay Shamokin City every year. But we do need to get some type of documentation that gives us, sufficient backup for the bill that we're paying.
Thank you.
And again, I was contacted by Sunbury City Council a few weeks ago, I don't remember exactly when, and mentioned that let's get together and solve this, which I think is the way it should be done. And maybe, again, they're entitled to it all. But let's get together, let's sit down and talk. Maybe Sunbury, Shikellamy High School should be involved also. They contacted me and said they needed more time. I was waiting for a meeting to talk about it. Do I know the right answer? No, I don't know exactly what we should be paying, but we need to sit down and try to figure out what the right amount is.
And that was the nature of the phone calls that I had had initially, again, until it went south with some of the comments that were made. But it was ended on that note as well. And Brenda, I know you want to speak a little bit to this as well, but the one thing I would point out, if you weren't planning on pointing it out, is during the first couple of calls I think that you had with them, there was actually some items that they did acknowledge we shouldn't have been paying for, and that they then acknowledged that, yeah, that shouldn't have been. So the fact that we're looking at this and the fact that we're making sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing is never a bad thing. You know, I guess some people differ in their opinion about that. Again, I'm not going to apologize for making sure that we're doing our duty to the Northumberland County taxpayers in how we are accounting for things. So.
The fact that can be a nice.
Thank you. And also just to add, as has been noted, there are multiple taxing bodies that are involved, in this reimbursement process. I just had a conversation earlier today with the chairperson of the Shikellamy School Board, and they are in favor of the fact that we're looking into this to make sure, because to the extent that we may be overpaying for some things, they may be as well. And we agreed that we would, as the information comes in, and provided the people from, the folks from Sunbury say as they said they were going to do, and that we have a meeting and they produce some of the information and we work this out, that we would be sharing that with them as well. So, is there any other new business? Any public input? Okay, I will adjourn the meeting.
Yeah.